Hello and welcome back to Manga Talk, where I talk to you about manga that you may or may not have heard about before. This is a discussion, not a review, so I welcome your opinions. If they are good, they are good. If they're bad. Whatever you want. So let's get into what we're going to be talking about today. Yeah! And that would be this little mute, which is the Ancient Magus Bride, or Magus. This one, I really enjoyed this one, and it is kind of interesting in the setting, the characters, and so on and so forth. But I am getting a little bit ahead of myself, so let's get into the facts that is the Ancient Magus Bride, or Magus, or however you pronounce it. The facts is this. It was written and illustrated by Kori Yamazaki. Kori Yamazaki. I think that's right. Hopefully it is. Demographic wise, it's in the shonen, so young adult, young male audience, though I can see forget the name for female demographic, like young teenage female demographic. It could also fit with that. It was originally ran in two separate magazines. One was Monthly Comic Blade, which started its run in there for November of 2013, went to July of 2014. Then it switched to Monthly Comic Garden in September of 2014, and it is still in there to the present. Then all of the chapters of the actual mangas are of the story are placed into 13 volumes of the actual manga that it is. In the States right now, translation takes a while. We only have up into volume 12, so and I think in next month in October the 13th volume is coming out. But I personally only own up to what we have here, which is volumes 1 through 12, which covers chapters 1 through 60, I believe, because for some strange reason I couldn't find the actual page in the book. Maybe it was just a weird printing issue, but it doesn't show the chapters. Whatever. So, anyways. The story of the Ancient Magus Bride, I think it's Magus, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe in my heart of hearts it's Magus or Magus. I've said it, I'm going to pronounce, if you watched a few of the other videos that I made, terrible words. So, anyways, the story is about this girl. I believe she is 15 at the start of it. Chise, Hiroti, Hatori, Hirotio? I can't pronounce names. Chise, I can't pronounce that. She essentially, at the very start, puts herself in this auction to be sold off to the highest bidder because of story-related reasons. And she is what is known in the magical world as a Shaggy Bell? I believe so. Shaggy Bell. I'm pretty sure it is called a Shaggy Bell. Shaggy. Yep. Shaggy. I can't. It's a Celtic word, I believe. And if you've looked up anything dealing with Celtic stuff, some of those words, I'm just like, those are just a random assortment of words there. But yeah, this very like rare uh, person that is born every once in a while that has the ability to draw in magic as well as use magic. It's dealing with the how magic works in this world, which is sort of like ours, but has magic. Yeah. But she is bought by Elias Answorth. Sometimes it's an easy name, though some people might disagree. Elias Answorth, who is he's a cool character. But yeah, and essentially he is like, you're eventually going to be my wife, and that's how the story essentially starts. I'm really like summarizing it, not great, but so you then have these two characters that are trying to get to know each other. One is a Japanese 15-year-old girl, or 16, I think, by the end, who, or at the very least where I'm at, who is just trying to figure out what her place in society is now based off of her past. And then Elias, who is this 1,000-year-old being that quite literally, Elias is this guy. This guy. I probably have shown pictures up on the screen, but he is definitely not human. He is referred to as the Thorn in places. He is like, doesn't really have human emotions, though. In some cases, like if you have a story that goes on for a while and you have this character that is immortal, sometimes you have it where they just disconnect from the emotions that a mortal person would have. But he didn't really have the whole being human part before that. He was always this weird creature that came into being somehow, that I still don't really understand how. But you have these two characters that kind of are in this place where they don't really understand each other at first, but the story is about them getting to know each other and growing and figuring out how each of them work in this relationship, which at times is so fucking adorable. It's just so goddamn adorable at points and creepy at others. Because she. Oh, man. But yeah, it's an interesting story because, you have, besides these two characters that are having a very interesting relationship as they grow with one another and figure out what each thing is that the other can help them with. Anyways, I like their relationship. It has rocky points, and they go through actual trauma and tribulations as they slowly get to know each other and slowly understand. And at points, I'm just like, they're so cute and adorable, and they're not understanding other people, but at the same time, figuring out where they love each other, but and also trying to figure out if they actually do. So yeah, but it is interesting because not only do you have them, but you also have the world at large and the other characters within it, and how magic works is different. There are two different, technically three different sort of magic type deals in this. There's the or people that use magic that change how you react to the world and the different fey creatures there, because there are fey creatures like Elias, I'm pretty sure, is technically a fey of sorts, and it takes heavily from those stories that are just like, hey, this is a old mythologies from like Celtic and Europe and all that, and I think a few others around the world, but mostly at the moment because it takes place in England. It has those influences here and there. Like, yeah, there's a few interesting characters that come straight out of mythology. And if you've looked up mythology, those myths are fucked up. Yeah, so, but there are other great characters in it that, again, are based off of mythological creatures at some point, and I've forgot about talking about the other people that use, like, magic in this world, but focusing on the mythological aspects, like, there is Ruth, who becomes Chise's familiar, who is, I think, the black dog, or grim dog, or church dog, which is essentially a dog that is buried in a church. If I remember correctly, based off of actual mythology, they're like a dog that gets buried in like a church cemetery that is there to guard, the actual graveyard itself as like a spirit. And I'm just like, what the fuck? If you actually look up some mythologies that have been in the world, it's just like, what? You like, what? Yeah, so that's her familiar. Ruth is a very interesting character because he switches back to being a big black dog to a humanoid creature for reasons that get explained in the actual story. Then you also have Silky or Sylvie? Silky? Yeah, Silky. Silky, who is a banshee that eventually becomes Elias's maid in his house, and she's adorable. She never says a word, and there's reasons. But yeah, you grow to love these characters that, one, in hindsight, some of them are just like, oh, damn, that is creepy. And then others, you are just like, oh. But yeah, you start to have the different interactions, and each of the people have different goals that they want to meet within the world. And it's crazy. And I should start talking. There's so much to talk about. Magic is kind of interesting, to say the least, because you have the maguses, or the mages, or whatever you would like to call them. They draw their power by making deals of sorts with the spirits around them, different fey creatures, saying the different incantations, and making sure that they have proper components of the spells. It sort of reminds me, if you've ever played like a game of D&D, it's sort of like a wizard mixed with a little bit of a druid type deal, where they have to do the different things and the effects happen, and being able to draw the magic in from outside. Though the key difference is that Chise, who is Shaggy Bell, I don't know how to fucking pronounce that, is able to also draw from inside her, which causes her lifespan to be slightly less. And that's one of the plot points within the actual story, is trying to get her no longer dying, essentially. Then you have the alchemists, who take the different parts and all that of these mythological creatures and create different effects. I think if I remember correctly, there are people that also create magic items in the world that are able to do different things. But the main difference is that those that are able to use magic have a sort of lifespan that is a lot longer, and it's just like, yep, I've lived a lot longer than most. And yeah, like, it's a interesting magic system that also incorporates the different beings within the world, which is going back to the point where I made about mythologies, because there's an interesting bunch. Namely, the Fae. Because if you, again, looking up at mythologies in real life, Fae creatures in real life are dicks. Like, in most mythologies, you're just like, they're just dicks. But, yeah, they have their different, things. You meet a few, ones that are well known in most cultures that you would know. For instance, most people know Titania, the fairy queen, who is kind of hot in this. But granted, she's depicted as hot in most situations. Her husband, I forget his name, but he's a satyr. There are the different like other things that it's just so interesting, and as you go through it, you learn more and more about the world. You also learn different aspects of it, and these more mythological beings come in, and it's like, oh, you are a god, an old god. It's just like, oh, okay. And yeah, it's also within like the modern era, so some of the beings no longer have as much power as they used to, and are trying to deal with what is now a thing in the world. So yeah, I love this kind of thing. It's just I just want more sometimes. Why can't they translate things faster? But it is alright. It's a great story. You definitely at points where I've there is, I can't remember which volume it was, but I finished it and I was like, that cliffhanger, oh god. And then I had to wait a few months for it. Wish that I could read Japanese or all that. If you're able to find it online, I would recommend, maybe not, but because these creators need to make money. It's so good. Like, I love it when stories combine mythologies from the real world and don't just pick and choose random things like, oh look, there's Odin over there. No, it's more a little bit grounded in, and Celtic mythology is kind of interesting, as well as the other ones that you find within the story. And I'm just like, yes, more. I need it. Because there's been some stories that I've read that had some Celtic influences. And I'm just like, I'll eventually at some point, and during this whole YouTube thing, talk about the audiobooks I've listened to. Anyways, I am getting off topic. It's just a good story. I want more. I want to know what happens. But that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. I've been the Bearded Otaku, and you have been watching Manga Talk. If you did particularly enjoy the video, think about subscribing. You don't have to subscribe. I'm not forcing you. If you did like this video in particular, hit the like button. If you disliked it, dislike it. Hit the other thumbs down button. If you want to talk about it, that's what the comments are for. If you want to keep notified whenever I post videos, then there's that bell icon thing. Don't know if that works. If it does, so, yeah. And if you want to watch other videos of mine, you can. I'm not going to force you, and it's alright. So, yeah. I'm terrible at signing off. This has been me, Bearded Otaku. I've been talking to you about manga on this video called Manga Talk. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!